Here, this looks promising. The Chronicles of Dunamancy, unraveling the threads of time. Let's see what we've got.
What did you find?
According to this, the great wizard Zephyrus resides on the Enchanted Isles far from Candlekeep. He is rumored to possess immense knowledge of time magic and has helped many travelers in the past? Shh! Sorry.
That's our lead. We need to find a map and chart our course to the Enchanted Isles. Maybe Zephyrus can guide us back to our own planes in time.
Agreed. Let's head to the map section. What? Did you find it?
No, but look. I found this book called Dungeons and Dragons. What do you think is this?
Oh, that? It's a tabletop game. People create imaginary characters and embark on adventures using dice and rules. It's a way to tell stories collaboratively. Ah, I found the map.
Hey, let's play this game. It might be a nice distraction from our quest, and it actually seems so magical too.
Yeah, well, it's not really magical. You see, it's about creating stories with your imagination, not real magic. Let me explain. Back in Gridania, when I was studying acting, we were using Dungeons and Dragons as an exercise.
Lovette, if it isn't magical, then why is it glowing?
Oh, fuck. Welcome back again to another episode of BnD podcast. Today, we will delve into the essentials of Dungeons and Dragons, a special episode for those of you who might be new to this fantastical realm. So make yourselves comfortable and get ready to roll. So where do we start? Val, how would you describe D&D in a few words?
Well, D&D is a tabletop role-playing game where you and your friends become part of an epic adventure. You're not just players, you're storytellers too, shaping the narrative with your decisions. But before we delve in deeper on the essentials, what do you say if we just start with a brief historical retrospection so we can give these adventurers who hear us maybe an advantage on their history checks?
Yeah, and it is really interesting actually, because even though D&D is now a very famous game with millions of players, it wasn't always like this. It all began in the early 1970s, when two childhood friends, Gary Gygax and Dave Arneson, created a fantasy tabletop game that changed the gaming world forever.
They were inspired actually by fantasy literature and war games. They wanted to combine the thrill of storytelling with the strategy of war games. So actually in 1974, they published the first edition of Dungeons and Dragons. As the years went by, D&D evolved through various editions, each introducing new rules, settings, and adventures. It became not just a game, but a cultural phenomenon that inspired video games, novels, movies, and even animated series.
You know, it's incredible how it transformed into a vast universe that spans across different media. And what's even more fascinating is its impact on the gaming community. D&D really paved the way for countless other tabletop role-playing games, fostering creativity and social interaction among players.
But for those who don't actually know what D&D is, what would you say? And can you also tell us, when was the first time you ever played and who introduced you to the magical world of Dungeons and Dragons?
So, for the first question, as Lovette said in the intro actually, playing Dungeons and Dragons is like embarking on an epic adventure where you and your friends become the heroes of your own story. It's a collaborative storytelling experience guided by one player who takes on the role of the Dungeon Master, or DM, and this DM creates the world, the characters you meet, and the challenges you face. Not an easy job, but a wonderful, creative, and crucial one. And as for my introduction to D&D, well, I was 19 years old, and I didn't know what D&D was. So my boyfriend, who used to play a lot, asked me to participate in a few sessions. The way he was describing the game, though, made me imagine that they were going to parks dressed as their characters and play. And to be honest, I didn't feel very comfortable with that. But I did care about his interests, so I decided to give it a shot. So we go to my best friend's house, we create our character sheets, and we start playing, just role-playing and rolling dice. And I remember I asked them, "Is that it?" And they were like, "Yeah, what did you expect?" And I loved it. From session 1, I still remember that I have created a druid elf named Sariel. It was such a funny campaign. I have written a whole book, actually, of this adventure because it was so precious and still is. And it was the beginning of my journey. Now I am the one who dresses like her characters. What a plot twist, huh?
I love that both of us have druids as our first characters as well. But I do love hearing everyone's first experience with D&D because I know that everyone has a different story to tell, and I'm really glad that we were lucky enough to have someone to introduce us to the game. But back to what we were saying, D&D is like a shared narrative where everyone contributes to the plot. Each player creates their own character with their preferred race, class, background, and personality traits. You can choose to be a brave fighter, a cunning rogue, a wise wizard, or a druid like us, or any other character you can imagine. You define your character's actions and decisions, reacting to the unfolding story. But what about the rules? These rules are going to be the end of us, I think.
That's true, because D&D has also rule books that outline the mechanics. For example, when you want to do something like attack an enemy, or pick a lock, or seduce the BBEG, you roll a 20-sided die known as a D20. The DM sets a target number called a difficulty class, or DC. If your roll plus your character's abilities meet or exceed the DC, you succeed.
So if it meets it, it beats it. Chance and strategy combined then. What about the imaginary aspects though? How do you visualize the world?
And that's where the power of imagination comes in. The DM describes the scenes, the characters, and the environments. Players use their minds to visualize the world. Some groups use maps and miniatures to represent battles, but it's not necessary. Your imagination paints the vivid pictures of the adventure. So, Val, can you tell us what someone may need to start playing D&D?
Well, you'll need a few essentials for starters. First and foremost, the player's handbook, a guide that holds the key to creating your character, understanding the game mechanics, and exploring the magical world of spells and abilities.
And then there's also the Dungeon Master's Guide, which is like the magical tome for the one who guides the story, the Dungeon Master. The DM crafts the world, controls non-player characters, and orchestrates the challenges the players face.
And let's not forget about the Monster Manual, a compendium of creatures of all shapes and sizes, from dragons to goblins. It's a treasure trove of enemies for your adventures.
And let me get to the good part. Besides the books, you'll need polyhedral die sets. These are not your ordinary 6-sided dice. Oh no. D&D requires a variety: 4-sided, 6-sided, 8-sided, 10-sided, 12-sided, and the mighty 20-sided dice. Each one has a role in determining your fate in the game. They come in different colors and materials, and they look amazing, and before you know it, you will transform into a dice goblin collecting them all. And I talk from experience.
I do too. Just try not to become like me, please, because every time I make a new character, I just decide that I need to buy a new set specifically for that character that I just made. And of course, I name the set after the character. So I've got a cursed dice set because of a cursed character's fate. You know who I'm talking about. And a lucky one that always rolls well because my character was really stubborn and determined to always win. But anyway, back to what we were saying, there's also your imagination, the most powerful tool you're going to need. With your creativity, you can envision the lush forests, ancient castles, and mysterious dungeons your characters will explore. It's where the magic truly begins.
That's the good stuff. And while miniatures and battle grids can enhance the visual aspect, They're not mandatory. Some players prefer the theater of the mind, where everything unfolds in their imagination. So you can just let it run wild.
And please, let's not forget about the snacks.
Oh, yes.
Every adventurer needs their hero's feast during those long gaming sessions.
Oh god, snacks are crucial to fuel our quests. In our D&D games, usually Val is the one who's making them, and I am the one who's eating them. But eating helps me think, so I can help it. But now that you've mentioned long gaming sessions, let's talk about the time commitment, shall we? A typical D&D session can last anywhere from 2 to 6 hours, sometimes even longer if the story is particularly gripping.
Indeed, it's important for players to set aside enough time for their adventures. It might seem like a lot at first, but trust me, once you're in the game, time just flies by. I do have this memory in my heart of us cooking a big meal on a summer day, making lots of snacks and playing together at my family house for the whole day straight. We barely had a break, and it felt like time literally slowed down. Also, I do remember myself always making a pizza for every single of our sessions, and always homemade popcorn because I love it. Those were crazy times.
And I love them too. And stomachs and hearts were full that day. And I personally remember a campaign we had even earlier than that, before I met Val, when we used to play the whole night, every day with some friends, 12 hours of session for 5 days straight. We were like zombies, but it was amazing because the story was so capturing and interactive that we just couldn't stop. It was like binge watching a series. So trust us when we say that those hours vanish in the blink of an eye when you're in the midst of unraveling a mystery, battling fearsome foes, or negotiating with cunning NPCs. So make sure your schedules are clear, your snacks are plenty, and your imaginations are ready for the journey of a lifetime.
And you will wonder, apart from the storytelling aspect, what is it that makes this game so damn special? Dungeons and Dragons isn't about just rolling dice and slaying dragons. Dice are important and precious as well, as we said. It's a journey into creativity and imagination. People have explored its psychological depths, and the results are fascinating.
One of the most striking aspects is how D&D encourages social interaction and teamwork. When you gather around the table with your friends, you're not just playing a game. You're forging friendships and learning to work together as a team. The collaborative storytelling nature of D&D strengthens those social bonds.
And let's not forget the creativity it nurtures. Players are not just consumers of a story, they actively participate in its creation. The imaginative problem solving required in the game enhances creativity. Plus, players get to step into someone else's shoes, which can improve their empathy skills too.
That emotional expression is so crucial. Players often use their characters as outlets, exploring their emotions in a safe space. It's therapeutic, a way to confront real-life fears and anxieties within the realm of fantasy.
That's so true. And it's also fascinating how the game also hones decision-making skills. Every choice you make as a player influences the story. You learn about consequences and responsibility, and it's challenging setting. It's a fantastic way to improve real-life decision-making. And I think we should all take notes for that specifically.
And of course, that sense of accomplishment when you defeat a challenging foe or complete a quest. It's not just the character who feels victorious. Players experience a boost in confidence and self-esteem. It's like a little win that translates into the real world. Imagine giving the final blow to a dragon who can easily burn your entire city to ashes.
Oh my God, when it comes to D&D and the boost in someone's confidence, for me personally, it's a topic I cannot shut up about. Changes people so much. Changed me, definitely, to the point I can believe the progress I've made in such a short period of time while I was playing. And since I've been running D&D sessions for young adults lately, seeing them becoming more confident, to even speak or be a bit more creative with the way they describe their characters' actions. It's actually magical to see it when you're on the other side of the table, because that's when you realize how far you've come yourself.
And honestly, you did. And I am more than proud of you, because teaching these little fellows that it's okay to be creative, to embrace fantasy, to make new friends, to have a good time, and not be ashamed of that. Because not too many years ago, D&D was kind of a taboo subject. People playing in their basements, being given the label of the nerd and the weird one. But now that doesn't exist, that much at least. And I wish I knew about this game sooner, because the realest friends that I have ever made and the kindest ones were through D&D, in all seriousness. One last question though. Someone may wonder, what if I don't have any people to play with in person and they are all in different areas? Can I still play the game?
Well, definitely. Many adventurers now embark on their quest not around a table, but across the vast expanse of the internet. The online world has become a haven for D&D enthusiasts. Virtual tabletops, forums, and video calls bridge the gap between players from different corners of the world, especially since I moved so far away from my friends. The first year, it was so difficult for me to make new friends. So I do remember all my Saturday nights playing online through Discord with them until I actually found a group here to play in person.
Discord has definitely saved us for these sessions. And there's also a certain charm to online play, isn't there? Online platforms offer accessibility for those whose physical limitations might restrict them, or for busy adventurers who can gather in one place. Plus, the wealth of resources available online, digital character sheets, interactive maps, and tools that streamline gameplay. It's like having a magical bag of holding for all your D&D needs.
Well, maybe we can create an episode comparing online D&D to the traditional one then.
I love this idea, and count me in. So, before we sign off, we have a thrilling announcement to make.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, next week we're embarking on an epic quest of our own. We're heading to MCM Comic-Con in London.
Oh my god. We're so excited to meet the cast of Critical Role.
My heart, my soul.
Specifically Liam O'Brien and Laura Bailey, and of course Matthew Mercer and Mercer Ray. Yeah. But I'm also buzzing about meeting the cast of Baldur's Gate 3, specifically Astarion's voice actor Neil Newbon and Shadowheart's, I love her, says God's favorite princess, the voice actress Jennifer English, and so many other more. We'll keep you updated through our Instagram page, so make sure to follow us.
And we will also record a special episode about our experiences and spill the tea in general. So stay tuned for that too. And also, we want to wish you a happy Halloween with lots of tricks and treats. And we would like to write us what you're going to dress as. We're looking forward to your answers.
Oh, I can't wait to tell you, but it's a secret for now.
Well, stay tuned for what Val will cosplay.
Well, I've been waiting for this moment all my life. But I also
don't spoil it.
I also want to say to everyone who's listening, the ones who have no idea about what we're blathering about the whole time, thank you for being here. And really hope you understand now why D&D has been a huge part of our lives. And this goes out especially to my mom.
Hi. So, thanks for hanging out with us today. And we will catch you soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.